I'm Jen. Thanks so much for checking out my channel, Your Best Work Life, where we talk about all things that have to do with building the perfect resume, preparing for an interview, and furthering your career goals. Today, we're going to talk about 5 things to avoid in your resume. I've told you guys in the past, I've reviewed over 20,000 resumes in the last 10 years, so I've seen some good ones and some not so great ones. So I want to share with you a handful of things today that you should absolutely not include in your resume that will help you in increasing your chances of getting that interview. Number 1, grammatical errors. You absolutely want to avoid grammatical errors at all costs. Your resume is your first impression on a piece of paper. So when a hiring manager is looking at your resume, and if they see that you can't even spell the name of a company you've worked for correctly, or certain, when you're describing your experience and your responsibilities, if you can't take the time to make sure that you're doing that accurately with the correct punctuation and correct grammar, that's really not going to give a hiring manager a lot of confidence that you're going to have attention to detail or even very good written communication skills if they were to hire you. So those grammatical errors really are a big deal. Make sure you take the time to proofread your resume over and over again. Have somebody else take a look at it. We often, as humans, when we're reviewing something that we wrote ourselves, we're going to overlook some of our mistakes because we know what we were trying to say. So really take the time, make sure there are no grammatical errors. You don't want something like spelling a word wrong or having a comma in the wrong place exclude you from the interview. So please take the time. Remember, that's your first impression, and that's going to show a potential manager how much you really care about how you're presenting yourself. And if when you're going through an interview, you're supposed to be putting your best foot forward, you need to make sure you're doing that and you're not creating unnecessary stumbling blocks before you even have a chance to speak to that hiring manager. So number 1, make sure there are no grammatical errors in your resume. Number 2, avoid using pronouns like I, me, or my. Your resume has your name at the top of it, right? You wrote your resume. Everything in your resume has to do with you, your experience, what you've accomplished, what you bring to the table. So you don't need to say, I did this or my whatever. It is all about you. So cut those words out. You just want to use action verbs. Let's say you're in sales. An example of something not to say in your resume would be, I achieved 150% to my sales quota for 2018. How you would want to articulate that in your resume would be achieved 150% to sales quota for 2018. So see how I took out the pronouns? I just kept it very specific, to the point, used an action verb of achieved, and it really just gets to the point and to the meat of what you're trying to communicate without the unnecessary words. You really want to keep your resume as concise as possible, so you don't need all these superfluous words. You want to maximize the real estate, so to speak, on your resume and keep it to the point of what you've actually accomplished. Number 3, avoid inconsistent formatting. I've talked about this a little bit in some of my other videos as well, but most hiring managers spend less than 5 minutes reviewing your resume before they decide if they want to schedule an interview or not. And almost half of hiring managers spend less than 2 minutes reviewing your resume. So this is why formatting and having it consistent throughout your resume is so critical. You want to make sure a manager can easily find exactly what they're looking for, whether that be looking for certain titles, certain experience, certain accomplishments, or software tools that you've maybe used in the past. You want that resume to be laid out cleanly, concisely, articulately, and professionally, so that when a hiring manager looks at your resume, they find what they're looking for and they know they want to put you in that yes pile when it comes to scheduling an interview. Number 4, pointless objectives. I cannot tell you how many horribly written objectives I have seen in the years that I have been reviewing and editing resumes. People just feel compelled to put something when it comes to an objective on their resume without really thinking about if it's actually adding any value, which is a complete waste of time. Again, a waste of real estate on your resume. So unless you can write an articulate objective that is going to not only speak to your previous experience, but also speaks to what you bring to the table and how that relates to what the company is hiring for, don't put it on your resume. And so some of you may be catching on that if you need to write an objective that is speaking directly to the opportunity that you're applying for and to the experience that you bring to the table as it relates to that opportunity, you're going to need to customize that objective when you're applying to different opportunities. And that's perfectly okay. Again, if you're going to include an objective, make sure that you are hitting them right between the eyes with what you bring to the table and why they should consider you for their company or that role. If you're saying something like, looking for a new opportunity where I can further my skills and grow in my career, great, that's all about you. That doesn't say anything about what you're going to bring to the table when it comes to the company that you're trying to work for or the position that you're applying for. So you really need to keep that in mind. Yes, it's okay to talk about you in terms of the value that you bring, but again, make sure that objective ties that value that you bring back to the company or the position and speaks to something that you actually read in that job description or that you know that they're looking for. So keep that in mind, make sure you're customizing those objectives and making sure that they are communicating the value that you bring to the position that you want. Number 5. Lists of tasks or responsibilities without value. So this kind of ties in with what we were just talking about in terms of your objective. If it doesn't add value, it doesn't belong on your resume. And that's the bottom line. So when you're thinking back to your previous experience in different jobs that you've had, think through what you were responsible for, think through what you did every day, but you don't want your resume just to be a big long job description of little things that you were responsible for. You want your resume to highlight your strengths, your accomplishments, how you've grown in your career, and what you bring to the table. So make sure that when you are filling out your resume and you're writing about your previous experience, whether that be in bullet points or again, paragraph format, whatever feels right for you, make sure it's focused on value. Make sure it's not just, responded to emails every day, answered 50 calls a day. Let's add a little more value. Let's think about if you're in a customer service position and you're taking a lot of calls, and maybe you did take 50 calls in a day, but maybe everybody else on your team was only taking 25 calls in a day, then you would want to write something like successfully handled 50 plus customer service calls with a 5-star customer service rating on a regular basis, something like that. Or doubled the average call volume with exceptional customer service rating compared to coworkers, something like that. So you see the difference in terms of handled 50 customer service calls a day compared to articulating the speed and the quality in which you handled those 50 customer service calls a day. So think through that when you're writing your resume and you're thinking about your previous experience. Take it to the next level. Don't just look at what you did, but look at the value that that brought and make sure you're communicating that in your resume. So to recap, 5 things to avoid in your resume. Number 1, grammatical errors. They do not have a place on your resume or anywhere when it comes to the interview process or applying for a new job. So no grammatical errors. Number 2, avoid using pronouns like I, me, and my. Number 3, avoid inconsistent formatting so that it's clear and easy to read your resume in a timely manner. Number 4, get rid of those pointless objectives. Make sure you're communicating the value that you bring to the table and why that company needs to consider you for that opportunity. And lastly, number 5, make sure you don't just have lists of tasks without the value that you bring to the table and what you accomplished while you were completing those tasks in your previous work experience. Again, I'm Jen. Thanks so much for checking out my channel, Your Best Work Life, where I'm here to help you in furthering your career goals. So please subscribe below so you get all the notifications for my new videos. If this was helpful to you, please like and comment below. And certainly if you have questions, let me know. I'm here to help you. I'm happy to create some additional videos that speak directly to what you need. But again, please like, comment, and subscribe, and I'll see you guys next time.